Hey everybody, Max Kevin here. It's the Little Cutie Podcast. It's not too long. Oh, I'm finally free. I'm free from a 2-week quarantine of not being able to use public transportation. I'm allowed to go on the trans now. I can go anywhere I want. I can go to Tokyo. I can go to Osaka. I can go to Kyoto. I can go to Hiroshima. I can go to Sapporo. I can go anywhere I want. I'm free. I'm free. Anyway, I think I'm going to just stay home today. Don't really have any plans. Probably just stay home, work on the computer, like I've been doing the past 2 weeks, Maybe go see my friends this weekend, hopefully. A little outside. We'll do some outside activities, Don't want to spread the COVID. We'll do some mask-wearing outside activities. I don't know, I'm looking forward to that, Looking forward to seeing my friends I haven't seen in a couple years over here in Japan. I'm just sitting here on Wednesday morning over here in Japan. Of course, I live in the future. I don't know where you guys live. If you live in America, I live in the future, dude. It's Wednesday over here. It's still Tuesday for you guys. What are you guys doing? You having Taco Tuesdays? You having margaritas, dude? I'm on hump day, bro. It's Wednesday for me. It's Wednesday morning. You want those lotto numbers? Anyway, just drinking my morning koofies over here, Had a nice little session in the bathroom with the bidet toilet, Put that pressure washer on high, Up the temperature, so I got that warm jet stream right up there in my taint, Making me nice and clean. It's like, oh yeah, I don't even have to take showers anymore. I'll just sit on the toilet and use the bidet to wash my whole body. Don't even need to use soap, No. Oh, anyway, let's see see what we can talk about here. I was on the Reddit there yesterday. And I saw this science article about ketogenic diets basically killing you. And the headline was like, ketogenic diet kills your fucking heart. You want to do a ketogenic diet? You're gonna fucking die, dude. It's gonna kill your fucking heart, bro. What are you doing a ketogenic diet, bro? Don't you know that shit's bad for your heart? What are you doing? Even though, America's full of obese people and ketogenic diets are pretty much the only thing that makes those big fat fatties lose their weight. It's gonna fucking kill you, dude. You better eat a bunch of sugar instead, so. I was kind of interested in that study, because I do the carnivore keto diet there, so I don't really want to die, so I was kind of interested in this study, so I looked into I looked more into it. I actually read the study. It used a bunch of big words in Latin that I didn't really understand. It's like, what the fuck? Basically, I want to know what they're feeding these rats there, So they had these two rat groups. One had like what they call a normal diet, a normal carbohydrate diet, and the other one was a ketogenic diet, right? And so I was just looking like what they fed them, and they basically just fed both the rats complete shit, Even the normal diet rat, they just fed them like a bunch of sucralose and a bunch of different types of sugar. Like 60% of their diet was just like a bunch of like pure sugar, And then the rats there, like 60% of their diet was like cocoa butter. Like that's how they induced the ketogenic diet. They did it with cocoa butter, And so I was just thinking, it's like, well, what does this really show that a ketogenic diet is bad, or that cocoa butter is bad, And it got me thinking, just like, it got me thinking about one of my favorite physicists, Richard Feynman. I don't know if you guys ever know him, Richard Feynman. He was famous for he made these things called Feynman diagrams, which made it easier to understand the processes that are happening in quantum mechanics, Like if you got these two electrons and they fart on each other, they'll make two photons or whatever, That's what he's kind of famous for, is sort of explaining to the masses what's going on in quantum mechanics. And if you've ever read, he wrote this book called Surely You're Joking, Mr. Feynman. Highly recommend that book. It's kind of a bit biography about his life. He also worked on the atom bomb, and I think in the book there he talks about how he was one of the few people to see the first atom bomb explode, like when they were doing the tests or whatever. And at that time, he couldn't talk about it, But he was one of the very few people that saw the bomb explode. And it's a really interesting book. It's a really great book. If you don't know Richard Feynman, check that out. Check that book out. It's great. And the guy's really funny too. Not only is he a physicist, most scientists and physicists have like no personality at all. Like there's this dude Ed Witten, who's like super smart mathematician right now, but like when you talk to him, it's like talking to a robot. This guy, he's like almost autistic, But Richard Feynman was extremely charismatic and funny too. So yeah, check out his book. Anyway, he also popularized this phrase called cargo cult science, which is basically bad science. It's people doing bad science and trying to pass it off as good science, right? And yeah, if you just Google Richard Feynman, cargo cult science, you could read his little. It's just like a page, like a little speech. He talks about these rat experiments that they did, where they try to run rats through a maze, and like, and this one guy, he did experiments to show that like, the rats are figuring out the ways through the maze through different means, like they can smell, and like if they've done the maze before, or like the surface of the rat mazes, what the materials they use and stuff like this. So basically, this one dude, he basically did all these experiments to figure out how they could isolate variables in rat maze experiments, just so they could eventually find stuff out. Because what was happening is all these people were doing these experiments where they put rats through mazes, and they'd have all these results, but the results were all false because they didn't isolate their variables, and they didn't make sure that there were no other causes, right? And so this one guy, he figured out basically how to make rat mazes so that nothing else was influencing the result, right? And if you didn't follow this guy's procedures, you would never learn anything about the rats because you could not isolate any variables. And Feynman basically compared that to a whole bunch of science that was going on, and people would publish these results, and it'd just be a total shit experiment because there would be all these outside influences, right? And this is basically like with nutrition science. It's why it's so difficult, because there's so many variables in nutrition science that cannot be isolated, right? And for one, they do these experiments on rats, and every animal has different nutrition, right? Like sharks are carnivores, right? If you fed sharks a vegan diet, I don't think they do too well, because they're fucking sharks, right? So obviously, there's different nutritional requirements between species. And not only that, there's extreme variation between humans, and like white people, they got the obesity gene, right? And they can also drink milk, whereas Asian people can't really drink milk so much, right? And they do better with, like, Asian people do a lot better with soy protein, especially women. Asian women do even better with soy protein than Asian men, right? And so it's incredibly difficult to isolate variables just among humans, let alone rats, And I was reading this study, and they're coming to their conclusions that keto diet is bad based on these rats that they fed one just pure sugar and the other one's cocoa butter. And I was just thinking, well, if they really wanted to do this experiment, they would have to first do an experiment with like 10 different types of rats, all on a ketogenic diet, feeding them different types of foods, right? Different types of ketogenic foods. Like one, they could give them cocoa butter. One, they could give them avocado oil. The other ones, they could give them animal fat or whatever, They'd first have to isolate, or just what type of ketogenic diet would have different effects, right? Because also in the rat studies there, they give them soybean oil which is also like vegetable oils and seed oils are already known to cause cardiovascular problems, right? And they gave the keto rats more soybean oil than they gave the sugar rats, you know. And so that right there, when I saw that, I was like, well, they fucked up already, you know. And even with the sugar rats, they gave a bunch of them like sucralose. It's like, well, you need 10 more studies with the rats just to find out like which sugar diet is bad, you know. Like you got to give one sucralose, one fructose, you know. I don't even know the names of other sugars, so I can't continue on with that. But even before they had to do this study, they really should have done one just to determine if different types of ketogenic diets had different effects. You know, and of course they didn't do that, you know. And they didn't do it with the sugar, you know, the sugar rats either, right? So at first they don't know if the specific food they're doing is giving the rats problems or if it's actually a ketogenic diet, you know? And then in this one specific study, they also like took different ketone bodies. So I don't know much to be honest. I don't know much about ketones. Like if there's different, I'm sure there are different types of ketones. But what they did is they injected the rats with like this one specific type of ketone, and then they drew their conclusions that that's what damaged the heart. And so anyway, you know, they published this study, which is a total fucking shit study, because they don't even know if there's variations between different types of ketogenic diets and different types of carbohydrate-rich diets. And they're doing it on rats, which have completely different nutritional requirements and metabolisms than humans, you know? Because nutrition studies don't even have good results when you do them with humans. And now you're telling me you're going to do them with rats, and you're going to extrapolate that to human nutrition? You know, and so they post it. You know, they post this study, and it's like, well, who's funding this study? This is a fucking useless study. It's a goddamn useless waste of time study. We learned nothing. The only thing that they've learned is that if you inject rats with a specific type of ketone bodies, it destroys their heart. Or if you give rats cocoa butter, it destroys their heart. That's all they've learned. We learned nothing about humans. We learned nothing about human nutrition. We learned nothing. You learned nothing, Lebowski, nothing. Until we come back and we cut off your Johnson. You know? And it just makes me wonder, like, how many scientific studies are exactly like this, where it's a total fucking waste of time and money, where they learn nothing, and they just publish shit. And like, you know, recently we've got these people going around like there's the trust science movement, believe science movement, you know, which is basically an anti-Trump thing. Basically, it's like, oh, whatever Trump said, we're the trust science, you know, Trump doesn't trust science. It's like related to COVID, and I mean, not just COVID, like it's the same thing with like global warming or whatever, or just any fucking topic you want to choose. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of shit sciences going on, but there's all these people out there that are just like, oh, believe science, trust science, and all they probably do is read the headline. They probably never actually read the study. And no, you can't just trust science, man, because there's a bunch of fucking shit science out there. You can't just take a dump in a jar and light it on fire and be like, hey, that's my science experiment. That proves global warming is real. I ate a bunch of Taco Bell, took a diarrhea dump in this jar, and then I lit it on fire. That means global warming is coming. That means cold. We gotta go solar and wind. You know. I mean, people never ever look at these studies. You know. It reminds me also these one guys. I forget their names, but they made a bunch of, on purpose, they made a bunch of shit scientific studies. Like the one they made is about like, they did like 100 papers. They published like 100 papers in like respective journals just to show how these journals are all terrible. Like they did one about gay dogs turning people gay at the parks or something. I don't know. It was something about like gender identity and dogs at the dog park influencing their gender identity. I can't remember exactly, but it was just a bunch of fucking bullshit. And it got published and like won some award, right? And then a year later, these guys go on to say that they just made everything up. And yeah, so no, I don't trust science, man. I mean, I do trust science, but I trust good science, right? And I think people don't. I mean, no one's taking the time. You know, no one, no one's taking the time to read these stuff. I mean, I sure fuck don't. You know. I mean, it makes me wonder too, like how many scientific headlines I've read and just believed and just be like, yeah, that's true. You know, just even my own. I want to say not prejudice, but my own. What's the goddamn word I'm looking for? Goddamn English, man! I can't even think about the English words. You know. Anyway, it just makes me wonder about how much shit I believe right now that's totally wrong, that I just never really looked into. Anyway, quickly in the markets today, I don't know if you guys saw gold. Gold is below 1800, as right. It's like 17, which is fucking amazing. I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but in the last couple weeks, platinum's up 30%, and yet the other metals are not going up for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure what the fuck's going on here, but pretty sure it's some global banking mafia conspiracy. I don't know. I don't know about that, but I don't think 17.90. Are you fucking kidding me? 17.90. Jesus fucking Christ, yeah. And gold's down like 5 days in a row right now, and that hasn't happened at all this year. Even during the crash, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, during the crash in March last year, gold was down 5 days in a row. That was the last time gold was down 5 days in a row. It was during the crash in March, and it's down 5 trading days in a row right now, which is really fucking crazy. So I think this is a great time to buy gold and silver if you haven't already. Of course, don't listen to me because I lost half of my life savings. But I think it's a much better investment, and it's not a goddamn scam like cryptocurrency. Anyway, I think that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow.